Do you guys think that if I dropped Cooper Kupp in most places in America, that a lot of people would recognize him?
Yes, as Jake Paul.
He does look like Jake Paul.
Are you guys not amazed? Do you think he gets confused a lot with Jake Paul? Are you guys amazed that in that sport you can have somebody who had just an unprecedented football season, no look passes in the Super Bowl, somebody unlike anyone we've ever seen in the sport, have a year that can't be comprehended and isn't actually a superstar? And if he walked into most places in America that weren't, and I don't even know in Los Angeles, but other places you might not know Cooper Kupp, who is also the novelty that they always want in that sport. Please give me a white star. Give me J.J. Watt. Give me somebody at the skill positions who's a white star.
Yeah, in L.A. he's getting recognized a lot, but as a Paul brother, not as Cooper Kupp. I'm sorry, you have that bushy beard with the thin mustache on top, barely any mustache, and the undercut, and you're buff. I'm sorry, you're a Paul brother.
The Rams.
Why does everyone have a red beard? Like blonde guys have red beards, red-haired guys have red beards, brunette guys a lot of times have red beards. Everyone's got a red beard.
Chris Cody, put it on the poll, please. Why does everyone have red beards? Yes or no? At LeBatard Show.
On the subject, do you think that a lot of NFL players are surprisingly unrecognizable? Because I don't think that I don't think I would recognize Josh Allen if he walked in.
I think the size of him. I think you would.
I know Josh.
You know what Josh Allen's face looks like?
Josh Allen. Yes, Josh Allen.
Quarterbacks.
NFL quarterbacks. Yes, man.
I'm with you. I was so with you. I was like,
I was ready to support.
You're making a great point right now. And then you said someone I clearly know what they look like.
Really? I don't think I'd recognize.
Like if you said
Josh
Kucherov,
Allen.
I would have been like, this is great. This is a great take. I don't know what Kucherov looks like.
How low do I have to go?
Facial blindness.
I think, Whittingham, you've gone too far. I think most people listening to this would recognize Josh Allen by face, but also because it seems like a baby's face on a horse's body. I think people would also notice that it's a real baby face, and he's unusual looking in that you're like, oh my God, it might be the best athlete in the NFL. And also he seems to have baby fat in his cheeks. He's not yet grown.
We should have Angel draw that for us. A horse with a baby's face on its head.
I believe that that's what Josh Allen looks like. But how low do I need to go on this list before you stop recognizing people? Because Whittingham's gone too far, I think. No. Now you've gone too far.
I would recognize Kenny Pickett, but I think maybe rookies, especially this draft class.
Kenny Pickett?
I would.
He's got the long hair.
I would his hair. You would not recognize Kenny Pickett.
He could walk in here right now. I would not know Kenny Pickett.
No, you'd say, hold up your hand. Oh, it's Kenny Pickett.
The high five? What's going on there? Why is this a baby hand?
Do you know what Devontae Adams looks like if he walked in this room?
Yes.
If Devontae Adams walked in, oh yeah, that's Devontae Adams.
I think so.
It's not easy.
I'd like to think so.
But Darren Waller?
Yep.
Do you think people would
Darren Waller for sure?
Yeah.
That's 100%.
Case Keenum.
No
yes.
way.
Well,
no
yeah,
way.
Former Browns fan here.
No, I wouldn't know Case Keenum.
Case Keenum of the Miracle in Minnesota? The Minneapolis Miracle?
Colt McCoy, yes. Colt McCoy, yes.
Of course.
Yeah, Colt McCoy, because that's college fame. That's college fame, yeah.
I like Kenny Pickett as our tipping point. I really do.
I mean, he's putting it at Josh Allen.
That's ridiculous.
That was a bad take.
Awful.
It's the dumbest thing Woody's ever said.
You should be shamed for it.
He said Giannis was a number 2. He said Antetokounmpo was a number 2.
This is worse than that.
Whittingham, what are your worst takes? What do you believe is your single worst take? Mine is that the 0-16 Lions were going to make some noise in the playoffs.
I know 2 of Woody's. I can think of 2 of yours. You wouldn't want Jim Gray's career.
Yeah.
And Giannis is a number 2.
I think he'd stand by. I think he'd double down on the Jim Gray. I don't think he'd walk that back.
No, that one was pretty dumb. That one was pretty dumb. I mean, he's done a lot in broadcasting. Be involved in that many of it. I mean, it's not like I don't want to be a reporter or a sideline reporter. Like it's not specifically what I want to do, but he's got a pretty admirable career. That I was wrong for that.
Yeah.
I have 3 regrettable takes off the top of my head. Tyler Johnson's a better fit for the Miami Heat than Goran Dragic. That's really bad. I'm sorry. I was so wrong. I love you, Goki.
Is my Lions take worse than taking Greg Oden over Kevin Durant?
Yeah, because a lot of people in the state of the NFL would have, in the state of the NBA, still would have gone Greg Oden at that time in history. I really overhyped the Miami Hurricanes of 2018, and I said, "Hey, let's hear this Will Kane guy out."
Chris Cody, what do you regard as your worst take?
I had cornbread at number 3. Might have been a little low.
You've been waiting for that bread topic all your life. You and Stan, like if I threw you guys in a basket in a bathtub filled with Red Lobster rolls, you guys would
just
eat each other's
bread.
feet
a bathtub
before realizing.
Full of bread.
You guys, you were so loving that conversation.
He
point.
just stole my 5 pieces of bread and just rearranged them.
Mike, I have now watched the end of Ozark. I believe Julia Garner to be one of the great actresses of our time, only in that show.
Well, did you see the role that she landed?
Madonna.
Yeah, and apparently it was a grueling process to win that role. There were 3 finalists, and Madonna was heavily involved in the selection of the actress that won it, and it went to Julia Garner. I did watch the finale, and it made me ease some of what I said going into it.
The third to last episode was weak in that it had some holes and tying up a bunch of things, but I do believe it has done a great job as an homage to Breaking Bad. I like the ending. I like that they kept escalating things, and it's not Breaking Bad, but that's not an insult. Like, it's a wonderful television show.
This might completely derail the conversation, but Roy, did you finish Better Call Saul?
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Best show on television.
Oh, it's so good.
Is the last season only 7 episodes?
No.
No. They got the mid-season finale was
They're
a
taking
few
a
weeks
break.
ago. They're taking a break until my birthday, July 11th, to start the.
happy
It's
early
mid-season
birthday.
break.
Hey,
Get over yourself.
how about,
they had
hey,
to-
show,
they had to-
your 2 seasons.
No,
How about that?
Stop it. They had
This
to
is this
pause-
next one is your
He had
final
a heart
season.
attack. They had to pause
Well,
filming. There's
it's
a break.
still 2 seasons. I feel bad for that.
Okay,
but
what's Ozark's excuse?
Ozark changed it because Netflix canceled it, so they gave us 14 episodes meant to represent 1 season, but they cut it in half as 2
the
seasons.
reporting of its cancellation, I think, was kind of overhyped. I think all parties.
Oh God, what did it tweet?
Oh, they
I can't wait for Saul to come back though. They didn't intend for this to be the mid-season finale, but the way it played out, it is a insane cliffhanger, and it just happened to be in the middle of the season. And so now there's 6 weeks until Roy's birthday when it comes back, and the main question that
Guess we all
everyone
gotta go shopping,
was on
huh?
everyone's mind before the season started is still in play. No one knows what's going to happen to Kim Wexler. That's not a spoiler.
I remain stunned, and it is one of the worst takes that I have ever had because I didn't give Better Call Saul a chance. The audience yelled at me about this because I did not believe that a spinoff of Breaking Bad could possibly ever reach the level of Breaking Bad. But it is as artfully done, and it is wonderful. And I'm just learning now, though, I bought season 6 last night. My wife got mad at me because I bought the entire season at $25, and if I bought them piecemeal by the episode at $2.99, I could have gotten it at $15. But I think I just bought a season that is more than 7 episodes. I didn't realize that there were more episodes. I've just gotten into the third episode of season 6.
I realize that Roy and I are the only people right now talking about television that have children. And for me, to get through Ozark during the NBA and NHL playoffs while having a 2-year-old, that is a massive hooray for me because that is really hard to do. I'm on episode 3 of Man in the Arena. I've been trying to watch that shit since it came out. I don't wait till you all have children. Yeah. It is impossible. Well, no, I'm sorry, Chris. I forgot that you had a daughter.
all I watch is Bluey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too.
I'm so sorry, Chris. I forgot.
Here's the trick to this, though. The trick is pretend like you're working and let your wife take care of the child. Yes. That's the trick.
No.
You're in
The
hiding?
trick is the tablet.
What year?
absolutely hiding.
What year is
The
this?
trick is the tablet. Oh, the tablet and
Roy
the
just
iPhone.
took us back to the 1950s. It's Mike. It's harder to watch shows that aren't good.
Yeah. It's really, my attention span is really short. You better be amazing.
I think
like Prehistoric Planet. That shit rocks.
You guys tell me if I have this wrong, as the time and space continuum has been rattled by the pandemic, and we have sort of merged into a new reality where there's way too much content because during the pandemic backlog, nothing was being made. And now, just like we have too much sports, we have too much to consume. I can't keep up. I don't have children, and I can't keep up. I'm behind on Better Call Saul because I had to finish Ozark, because I wanted to finish Hacks, because I wanted to finish Barry.
You know, I've become far more discerning about stuff to the point that I'm calling a movie that was well received by critics, The Lost City, one of the worst movies I'd ever seen, because I get agitated when something isn't good because I only have so much time. I have to be so judicious
It's got to
with
be
what
excellent.
I watch.
You have to be maximum discerning. You got to get word of mouth. Tell me what the best things are. I don't have time for bad things.
It's got to be game 1 of the Western Conference Finals between Edmonton and Colorado. That I need the dramatic equivalent of that.
8-6. It's got to be 8-6.
It's got to be 3 guys have 2 goals. That's what it needs
You're
to be.
not going to believe this, Mike. Do you need to stop watching Ozark because Steph Curry has hit 14 of 15 threes and Tatum's gone for 60?
Yes.
Otherwise, if you give me 34% shooting, I can't be bothered. I'm sorry, I have to go watch. Wait a minute. What do you mean Canelo Alvarez lost?
Yes. The second TV. I mean, Lightning Rangers, second TV if we're going to have a defensive battle, okay?
Last night I was listening to a podcast that I have like a list of podcasts that I've been trying to get to for months while watching the NBA Finals because there's just no time to watch anything. And this was also on my third screen. I had hacks on.
Oh, I worry about you. In general, falling asleep with the phone and the TikTok. I believe you have a stimulation addiction.
The TikTok.
You sounded sold saying TikTok right
Well,
there.
because she's falling
The
asleep.
TikTok.
She says she's falling asleep every night with the phone in her hand, watching the rest of what remains of the dribbles of TikTok while trying to keep up with colors on the screen as the Rangers are playing and just not being able to keep up with all of the stimuli.
Well, you mentioned the TikTok. Guys, do you know that I'm an Instagram influencer now? Yeah, no, big into the reels. You know how I'm big into the reels? I got a prompt that said you could have made $109
Yes,
last
I've been
month.
getting this.
Dude, S-corp the shit out of that and get
Wait,
your
did you
money.
sign up for it?
Yeah.
I'm scared. I don't
got
know.
a tax
I don't
ID
wanna
number.
give-
Let's do it.
I don't want to give them like my information because
It's
it's like Facebook.
You haven't given your information to Facebook
Well,
already.
I mean like my bank information. That's probably the
they
one
got
thing
that
they
shit.
don't have.
They got that shit.
Because I keep getting this. I posted a reel of this show like a couple months ago that got like 30,000
Isn't it tethered by
views
Plaid,
or
though?
likes or something. I don't know, but it was like us drinking cafecito at South by Southwest, and it was like you could have earned $1,000 for this reel.
Whoa,
like,
so like,
monetize your reel.
does
I
this
was
have
like,
to pop
whoa.
up? Like I haven't.
Yeah.
So if I haven't seen it, I just don't make the cut.
I can tell.
Post a reel and find out.
I can tell people that have started getting that prompt by the amount of reels they're making. Big Cat.
100%.
Big Cat must have got one of those prompts that said, with your social media following, you could have made $25,000 last month. And now,
No, but
every time you look at Big Cat, it's, because tonight will be the night that I will fall for you.
That's a TikTok thing. Okay, but there's a limit. Like you can only make a certain amount, and I think it's based off of income. Like I don't think they're going to pay you more than you would need to report it to taxes. But I don't think the cap is not that high. But I'm not sure what it is. But I haven't signed up for it yet because I'm scared.
Also, Instagram Reels, fake. It's
all repurposed TikToks.
It's all like it's TikTok from 3 weeks ago.
I literally
That's
posted
all
one
Instagram
today that was
Reels
fake.
is. It's unbelievable. I call it FicTok because it's just complete bullshit. Like I can't
Should be
believe
FicFoc.
that so many people have fallen for Instagram. Stole another idea. They stole stories from Snapchat. Now they've stolen TikTok from TikTok, and people are just because TikTok was too young. It was the social media platform that was a step too far for me. So now that Instagram has created a completely fake and 3-week-old version of it, it's available for people to start making money off of.
You watch your goddamn mouth. I am an employee of Instagram. and if you're messing with my money, we got problems. $109. That covers when I bet Hedman assist note.
We should also add that the Le Batard Show TikTok has been back up and running for the last couple weeks, and you should follow Le Batard Show on TikTok on your fourth screen.
Before we get to at Le Batard Show, please put it on the poll, Chris Cody. Are you worried about Jessica's addiction to the TikTok? You mentioned the promotional item of TikTok. There were a few things that I wanted to get out there promotionally. Tomorrow on the show, Chris Whittingham and Jessica are very excited about this because an F1 famous person. You just heard the sound.
Was that on air?
You just heard the
Did a
excitement.
macaw into the room?
What just happened there? Yes, a cockatoo
She
of some
tased?
sort.
Jess got tased.
What just
mid-sentence.
happened? What just happened, Jessica? Explain people why.
It was amazing, Dan!
It hasn't happened yet. It's tomorrow. It happens tomorrow.
I already tweeted that it happened today, but I didn't say who it was. But we interviewed someone who's never been on the show before. It was...
You fangirled. It was...
okay, that's a little sexist, because men can be fans too, Dan.
I
okay,
fanboyed.
We're doing some, like, Beatles
I
at Shea
fanboy
Stadium
all the
shit.
time.
Like, there are fan... You guys...
Fan-personed.
Thank you. Let's go with fan-personed.
You fan-personed in a way that embarrassed me.
You're welcome.
Even though it hasn't happened yet, and it'll be tomorrow. What more do we want to tell the people as a promotional item?
Well, there's a lot. I don't know if you saw on the Twitter, Dan. Metallark
The press release.
The press release on the Twitter. Metallark and DraftKings announced a new slew of 4 shows that I think the majority have already been on our network feed for quite some time, but we formally announced Shutdown Fullcast. So if you're a fan of that pod, it has a formal home now. It is us. We're very excited about that. You can catch it on the Le Batard and Friends network feed.
For those who do not know, if you do not know that show, I believe among all of the shows that we do from a cast of characters that aren't entirely known to our universe of fans, I believe that they represent the crazed weirdo sensibilities of what we do on college football better than anyone in the country could possibly represent them.
It's Spencer Hall, Holly Anderson, Ryan Nanny, and Jason Kirk. Ryan Nanny, the person who gave me my first job. Love that guy. What a weirdo.
It's a great show, very aligned with our sensibilities, as is the Cooligans, which some sports fans might be familiar with because they did their show. It's a popular podcast, and they did their show on Fubo. They're basically the comedic soccer home for the U.S. soccer fan. Great energy from those guys. Very happy to have them in the fold. We formally announced Too Many Men, which has been doing a bang-up job with hockey playoff coverage.
Mike, I love everything there. I did those women a disservice by not knowing who they were when they came on with us or what their chemistry was. Do we have plans to watch some hockey games with them on YouTube? Because I do believe if you love hockey...
Well, you won't be part of it based off of the interview that we saw. But yes, our hope is that for the Stanley Cup Finals, there's going to be a watch-along on our YouTube page where the Too Many Men crew are going to be watching a Stanley Cup game along with you. And speaking of that YouTube page, youtube.com/LeBatard and Friends is where you can find DNF, where our own Jessica Smetana, we're very happy for her, is going to be doing a show with Shutdown Fullcast's Spencer Hall, and it's going to go live approximately about 20 minutes after the F1 race of the weekend. And they're going to give you their thoughts, very kind of like Fullcast After Dark, if you're familiar with that show. It's going to be Spencer and Jess on that week's race, and immediately thereafterwards, we're going to post it on a podcast feed, and that'll be in your Le Batard and
We're
Friends feed
working
too.
you, Jess.
Also, you can
Yeah, and everyone's still bitching that I went on vacation for 7 days, audience. Get over yourselves.
Also, you can just Venmo me money if you want.
Or just watch my reels.
You guys are kind of pathetic here. Just I haven't felt this since Cameo. Since you guys did the cameos.
I never did the cameo. I never did the cameo.
My cameo's still alive. Everybody wants it, baby.
The cameos dried up, and now you guys are like, wait a minute,
I can use some money.
Instagram's got a few pennies. The gram, the Instagram.
Yeah. I'm not doing the cameo, but the gram, oh, meta.
You guys are greedy and dirty.
Port. Yes.
Stugotz, so we're recording this while the first Live Golf event is happening. The YouTube stream that I have open has 65,000 people watching, and also
Really?
Yeah, the ESPN is reporting that the PGA Tour has begun to suspend golfers for competing in Live Golf. The retribution has begun.
Okay, suspend them from the PGA Tour, which I think they said from once this became a reality, they said, hey, you're going to have to choose a tour. This is all going to get down to the majors. Now, they have how many people watching right now?
65,000 on YouTube. I presume that's all over the world, but that's something.
It is something, but you have to all right, do it next week and do it the following week and have that audience grow, because my guess is that audience will kind of evaporate and disappear. Mm-hmm. It's just a guess, right? Because still, you want to say 99% of the best golfers in the world are still playing on the PGA Tour. But Chris, I was saying yesterday that the only thing I care about are the majors. I don't care about the John Deere Classic. I don't care about any of these ancillary tournaments. I love golf, but I only care about 4 tournaments a year. Okay, maybe you'll hook me in if it's Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas, the Memorial 4th round, and they're tied, or 5 holes to go or something like that. But for the most part, I really only care about the majors. And as long as all the best players in the world are playing in the majors, I really don't care what Liv is doing. And I really don't care what's going on the PGA Tour in between those 4 tournaments.
How much power? I don't even honestly know. When it comes to these majors, how does the PGA own these majors?
So the Opens are open invitationals. I mean, so the U.S. Open is coming up next week, and Phil's going to play in that, and Dustin Johnson is going to play in that. And I'm not certain there's really anything the PGA Tour can do unless the U.S. Open wants to stand side by side with the Tour, because they have a great relationship. The two that the PGA can control, well, there's one for sure. One of the majors is the PGA Championship, right? Well, the PGA Championship it's the PGA Championship. Yeah. You have to be on tour to be in that major. That major means the least to the players, right? I think some of the guys who have signed up for Live are saying to themselves, hey, If I could still play in the Open Championship, the U.S. Open, and at Augusta, I'm good missing the PGA Championship
I think the PGA
because this place is
the PGA Championship is run by a different company with a similar name, though. I don't think it's run by the PGA Tour. I think it's.
But I think you have to be a tour. But it's not an Open Invitational, is what I'm saying, Jess. I think you have to be a tour member, right? And so those guys will not be invited by the PGA Tour to play in that major. But that's the major they care least about. It's going to be interesting to see if Augusta stands by the PGA Tour side and says, "Hey, if you're playing in Live, you will not be able to play in Augusta," because that will force guys to make a decision. They all want to play in that tournament.
Well, the decision's been made. They're all suspended from the tour. So I mean, I know it doesn't affect the Masters right now, but it is going to be something that the organizers of the Masters are going to have to either pick they're gonna have to pick a side, basically, right?
I think the human rights stuff is obviously getting all the headlines here. And as it should. It's wild though that the PGA Tour is panicking. That they are having meetings like what, like they're probably hoping what you're saying that it'll just like get views this week, and as we move on, it'll get less and less. But there's a lot of money into this thing, so like this is legit panic from the PGA Tour.
It honestly reminds me a lot of what's happened with the NCAA in the last couple of years, where there were very people have been clamoring for a change in the way the PGA Tour rewards players and promotes players, and like all these different things that now Live is going to provide. Like, for example, like caddies are going to get their expenses paid for by this new tour. Like that's a big deal for good caddies that want to not have to make a cut to make a paycheck, basically. So there's a lot of things that players have been wanting from the tour, and they've been stubborn and resistant to change. And so now there's a breaking point where now there either has to be change or they may become obsolete. I think it's very similar to the NCAA. I guess the only difference would be that the NCAA really doesn't do anything to begin with. Like, it's kind of a facade of an organizing and governing body, but it doesn't actually do a whole lot. And it certainly doesn't pay its players, which the PGA Tour does. So it's if you were the commissioner of the PGA Tour, I would be wondering, like, what did you do to prevent this from happening, or to maybe listen to some of your players before it was too late and they just left to take a bigger paycheck?
I think one of those big things is the name, image, and likeness and all that, like, control of your digital property and all that, which the PGA Tour is not going to relent on. But this new tour seems to be, hey, do whatever the hell you want. We just need your name, so you can have that. You can own that. It's yours. You can do with it what you want. And I think that, at least from Phil Mickelson's perspective, we know why Phil's doing it. Phil needs money, and the only way Phil can make this amount of money at this stage in his career is by joining a tour like this, because they need that name. But that name, image, and likeness stuff, the PGA splits with its players right now. That will be, the way I understand it, is if you join Live, you will have full control of that and be able to earn 100% of that type of stuff. And I think that's important to some of the players. Plus, some of the players who are going over there, you look at Phil, you know why Phil's doing it. It is curious and interesting why Bryson DeChambeau is doing it, Patrick Reed. Like, these guys are young. The PGA Tour is suspending them. Those guys want to win majors. So that, to me, like, we get why Phil's doing it. We understand the desperation with Phil. And Chris Cody is right. It's some of these younger players, Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau,
they're
Patrick
going to make
Reed.
more money in a season with this tournament than they could make with career earnings from the PGA. And I think the difference maker is, like, will mainstream sponsors still want to do endorsements with them, or will they, stick with their relationships with the PGA and not pick a side? Because it is just like an exorbitant amount of money from a well that doesn't seem like it can ever run out.
And it's also, for me, like, we were talking yesterday, Jess and I, about, like, the permission structure, because Phil Mickelson did such damage to himself 3 months ago, whenever the comments came out with that book author that we talked to, that I really thought that it was going to be such a bad look for anyone to join that, like, basically nobody would. But it's now, like, I was oddly shook by Bryson DeChambeau and Patrick Reed joining, because it made it seem like, all right, Phil Mickelson's gone through and dealt with the public criticism. Dustin Johnson doesn't give a bleep. Kevin Na is somewhere, down below. No one cares about him. And if you're basically anonymous enough for people not to care about you, then it won't be that big of a deal. You'll make up whatever you lose in sponsorship in, the fees that they're paying out to play in this tour. The permission structure is there now. And I'm really curious, if you're outside of the top 10, the top 20 of the PGA Tour, if the offer that this tour is going to offer you is so good, and that you can withstand the reputational damage. The PR damage won't be that big of a deal that you just kind of go through and press on with it.
I wonder if enough guys join the PGA Tour and the PGA Tour realizes, hey, we just got to let them play both, because we're going to have a watered down product without Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, if it continues. I think the PGA Tour is fine right now, but if more guys decide to jump over to live, it's going to be interesting. The PGA Tour may have to relent and say, hey, we have to let them play in both. Otherwise, our tournaments we're going to be in shambles here.
But
why
would they? The reason that they want to join live is because it's a shorter season. Like, why would you play in the Memorial for a $1 million purse if you're going to make $10 million to do like one event in?
I guess you're
the month
right.
of May. So I don't think there's any like coming back from it. It's just going.
But Smitty, the only way, because
Yes.
but Smitty, these tournaments mean something. Like, you and I were texting each other the other day. These tournaments, these courses, having the television coverage, all that stuff means something. But it's not enough, clearly, right? And so I think the only thing the PGA Tour could do, right? This is all they have in terms of negotiating are these 4 majors, because it's the only 4 tournaments that anyone cares about. It's what the audience cares about, and it's what the players care about. You're right. Bryson DeChambeau does not care if he's playing, in the John Deere Classic or the Valero Open. He does not care if he's playing it. He might as well be at Live making $15 million,
One thing that they could do is maybe like address some of the concerns that players have had for a long time and make it so that players don't want to leave the PGA Tour, whether it's shortening the season or guaranteed checks or a bigger pool for, like they had that incentive pool last year for like players who did above and beyond in like marketing or I don't know how to describe it. I think Phil ended up winning it, or Tiger, which what's the point of that if Phil or Tiger's going to win it? But
right.
But yeah, I think like there are some things they can do, but in not being proactive, they've really, cut themselves off at the knees.
Well, but also like they don't have the financial power that Live Golf does. Like the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund is $40 billion. 40 might
I think
be
it's 600 billion.
600 billion. Jesus.
It seems like an unlimited amount of money is what it seems like.
Right. So I think even if the PGA Tour did address some of those concerns, they're never going to get there, I don't think. And so you're basically relying upon the tradition of things, which we've seen in recent times. There are enough athletes, enough sports entities that are basically saying the tradition of this thing isn't enough, right? And college football probably being chief among them. The tradition of this thing isn't enough for me to hold on to it. And so that tradition is at risk here. And I kind of wonder if golf is almost at risk of cannibalizing itself, because if the PGA Tour doesn't sustain because people aren't interested in watching this product anymore week in and week out, and if Live Golf doesn't really capture the attention, are you almost having 2 competing tours in which neither is raising, both are falling? That kind of feels like what it is.
It's so fascinating. Listen, Woody, I'd be interested in your thoughts on this, because it's Patrick Reed who has won a major, right? He's won at Augusta. It's Phil Mickelson. We know his reasons. Bryson DeChambeau has won at least one U.S. Open, maybe a second major.
I think I saw 9 major champions have committed. I saw today.
Right. And Dustin Johnson's probably won 2 or 3 of those. But still 95% of the best players in the world reside, at least for right now, in the PGA Tour. So we're talking about a handful of guys. Like, Woody, if there's a soccer league out there and 5 or 6 of the top 15 players left to another competing league, would that be enough for you to watch? I am not interested at all in what's going on at Live, but I wouldn't be interested if those guys were playing on the PGA Tour this weekend either,
Well, soccer almost had a more compelling version of this, which was the Super League that almost formed, which it almost would have been too big to ignore because it's every team that matters. Like, to an American soccer fan, there is not a team that's missing in terms of the teams that you care about. It was the 6 big English teams. It was Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico. It was Juventus. Only the big German teams were the only ones that didn't join, in Paris Saint-Germain in the end. But like, it was like 10 of the 13 teams that matter. And so it almost would have been too big to ignore. And fan protests was basically the only reason why that one didn't end up happening. But we kind of like they to Jesse's point, they reformed the Champions League so that it wasn't it's a little bit easier to qualify for it, and they made it easier for the big teams, and the big teams are going to continue to eat all that interest because they're the only ones that register worldwide. But yeah, I mean, to your point, if anything, it's not even about players. Like, it's all the big brands and teams with all of the big players. Like, it was so very near to happening. And now the Saudis have gone about it a different way. I just don't know, because in that instance, you're taking the traditions, the stories, the histories of all of these big teams and throwing them into one league and their international fan bases. And you already know what that is. The thing about Live Golf is, like, the teams have names. The players are kind of, if like, it's not like I'm tuning in to watch these guys play golf because they do something special. I don't understand what the format of this is.
The format's weird. The team names are goofy.
Right. And like, the thing about golf that
seems cheesy,
guys,
yes.
Like what you understand about golf is these four things, these four tournaments are important. When at the end of your career, we count these things. That's what matters. And I just don't know how Live Golf ever gets there. Like, winning the event at the Trump Doral is, the one that you hold on to for the rest of your life. There's nothing that will be memorable or impactful or have storyline about this. The only storyline is this country's public investment fund has gotten together to break up golf, but they haven't provided an alternative that is compelling at the moment.
They would have to come up with 4 competing majors, all right? And those majors would have to have like some sort of allure or attraction, but they won't have the
One of them
history.
should be putt-putt.
No, but I know
Oh my
that's pretty
God.
funny.
We should do our
I
own
want. Yeah, go ahead.
putt tour. We should do a putt tour sponsored by Meadowlark Media. I would crush. I would absolutely destroy all of you.
Everyone thinks they're good at putt golf. Though.
I'm actually good at
No, I'm
putt-putt.
not saying you aren't.
You've seen my short game.
Yeah.
It wasn't that good when you saw it though.
Yeah, it was fine.
Wait, why does everyone does think they're good at putt-putt, but they're not. Putt-putt's a very dangerous game. It is.
Yeah.
Not actually.
But why does everyone think they're good at it?
Well, because
No, I know, but they're windmills and
it's
stuff.
It's accessible. It's a 40-foot putt, and so you're like, I can do this. And it's
but it's a 40-foot putt, like it's a 40-foot putt, like through ramps and windmills, and there's all kinds of things impeding you, right? Lazy rivers.
To bounce it off someone's forehead to get it in the hole. It's awesome.
I love hitting one so hard it bounces off the putt course. I mean, I love doing that.
No, you have to get a stroke for that.
Really?
Of course. Where are you gonna drop it? That's a stroke, Stugotz. You've never played putt-putt with
I want to try to come up with 4 replacement majors that like by name. Yeah.
The putt-putt at Universal.
The U.S. Why putt-putt? The U.S. Invitational instead of the U.S. Open or something like that. Like come up with a play on the Masters, the PGA, right?
Yeah, one is
the PG Championship.
The Trump course at Bedminster. One is the Trump course at Doral. Where are the rest of his?
One should be at Live.
Oh yes, I love that.
Putt-putt at Live.
At Live.
I think that one.
But Chris, they don't tee off till midnight. Like, after spending 5 hours there. It looks like Phil Mickelson would love that, like a lot. Yeah, he looks haggard. He looks like he's lived.
Nah, it's not haggard. It's something else.
But I'll say it. Why don't you just say it?
Energetic.
Right. It's hard to be in a picture with Dustin Johnson and you look like you're on more coke than he is. I mean, it's
oh my God. Bleep that out.
Did I say that? How about this, guys? If I give you 5 average to very good NFL quarterbacks and they left to an inferior league, right? 5 average to very good quarterbacks, I'll sprinkle in a Super Bowl winner. They go to an inferior league, right? Would that be enough to get you to watch?
So we got We got Matt Stafford, Derek Carr,
Kirk Cousins,
right?
Jalen Hurts,
and Matt Ryan.
Yes.
So they all play in the USFL now. Is that
right?
Good. Like, still watching Red Zone every Sunday.
Like the USFL
no,
now, and nobody does.
But Chris, I know you're still watching the Red Zone, but are you watching the other league? I think
that
might be.
I'll check it out. No,
because I watched those team sports because I watch my team. Like I watch the storylines, I watch the stakes. Like I know the stakes. I know the Super Bowl is a big stake that they're competing for.
Yeah.
This new tournament. I mean, it's golf. The reason that golf is not as popular is because it's not as easy to follow individual players. And like you said, Stugotz, the reason the majors are more important and more watched is because there's stakes and there's storylines of winning a major.
You understand the 120-year history of the PGA Championship or whatever.
Right.
When the Open Championship starts, it's some broadcaster going, the 117th playing of the Open Championship.
You don't grow up like a Dustin Johnson fan and you're like, well, I've always loved Dustin Johnson because my father taught me the importance of loving Dustin Johnson. It's completely different. Like following individual sports is just it's a different beast.
Deion Sanders is also playing in this football league.
I'm in.
Deion Sanders now?
Yeah, like he's joining. Like that has me interested. I'll tune in for that.
Coach Prime. T.O. I mean, I'm in. You give me 5 good current NFL quarterbacks. I'm with Chris. Deion Sanders and T.O. I'm in.
And they got to have fantasy league.
Yes. Give me 5 good quarterbacks, 5 starting NFL quarterbacks. T.O., Randy Moss, Deion Sanders. I'm there. I'm glued. I am. I'm glued to it. And so are you, Whittingham. You are.
No, I've been out on all these spring football leagues, like the XFL. I watch it for a week. The USFL, I still don't understand why they play all the games in Birmingham. They have a good TV deal with Fox.
It's a big football town. That's why.
Right. I know, but the stadium is empty. And it's just
but imagine
football is on for 11 straight hours.
But now imagine it's a USFL matchup between Matthew Stafford and Jalen Hurts. I mean, it's a little bit different. It is. You got to be honest. Like it's a bit. Smetty, no.
No.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Would there be USFL Red Zone? Maybe.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, I think having 5 good quarterbacks
in this case,
commands a red zone. Wait, so Smetty is right because golf is weird in that you might have a favorite golfer, but there are even times and tournaments where you'll root for that favorite golfer to have a bad round. Really what you're rooting for in golf, what I've said all along, especially when you're watching the majors, is like Phil Mickelson was my favorite golfer for a very long time. It still is my favorite golfer, despite all the stuff that's happening around him. But Phil Mickelson would have a 3-shot lead at a major, and all I want is a close finish. I want it to be competitive at the end. I want a good final pairing. And so if Phil is up by 4 or 5 strokes, I want him to kind of hit a double bogey. I want him to come back to the pack to create the ending that I want to see, which is a fascinating, close ending with stakes attached to it. And so it is different. You're not really rooting for a golfer the way you are rooting for a team. You're just rooting for an exciting finish, even if it means your own guy, your favorite guy, doesn't win.
And you're probably not going to get the same thrill of like some guy who like you've never seen win before, who was on like the Corn Ferry Tour the week before winning a PGA Championship event or
for the golf
event.
sharks.
Yeah, like all the people invited to live are making tons of money, so it's not like they're wow, here is a life-changing thing. This guy just won $1 million. Like I think one of the main criticisms I've read is that it's really not going to be great for like the people who don't earn a lot on the PGA Tour. Now it's going to make their opportunities even smaller. And there's no development league in this like live program, which that's another thing like the PGA Tour could put money towards and differentiate themselves and make better and then attract golfers to stay in that because it's just a healthier system.
Do you guys see what the PGA Tour is trying to do to respond to live? I'm seeing a video of this. You guys ever seen these dinner in the sky stuff where you can go to like some city and you can go on like you're essentially on a crane.
Oh, I saw this.
You're up in a crane.
Yes.
But the PGA Tour is, I'll show Stugotz in the thing. The PGA Tour is offering like you can watch the round from the sky. Like you can go up in a crane and be really high.
Terrifying.
And like I guess that's a good view to watch golf from. I can't see the ball when I'm standing right next to this guy. Off the tee, you think I'm gonna be able to pick up the ball from 100 feet in the air? But
what if it hits you? What if the ball hits you?
I just love the idea of them like having meetings, the PGA Tour. I know what I assume they have it in a space where it can't
it's like the Cowboys Stadium.
Their response to live is a crane. That's the response.
I imagine they're having meetings. Like, all right, we gotta
make golf cool.
No bad ideas. What do we got? We can bring in a crane. I had dinner last week. I was in Vegas and I had dinner in the sky. Get one. Got it. Yeah. Next. What else you got? Johnny, what do you got over there? And he's like, I was gonna say ices. Like, all right, you're fired. Get out of here.
Would you want to watch golf that way, Chris? I'd be terrified.
I mean, I assume they have monitors up there so you can like watch it on TV and all. Like, it's just like I don't understand. Even if you were above the green, I can't see them putting. Really weird.
We have a lottery, and the person who wins the lottery gets to play the first round of the tournament.
All
right, it's
oh god,
no, it's decent. No, it's not a terrible idea.
Yeah.
No, but you have the PGA Tour doing things that Liv should be doing. Like, they're not that desperate yet. I mean, so now you just get people out of the gallery and give them a chance to play the majors.
But what's the PGA response other than punishments?
Here's their response: we got Tiger,
but they don't. Because he's not playing in the U.S. Open.
But like, when as long as he's
but
still
he'll be
gonna
back.
show up when he can, like, because they offered him $1 billion, right? Because they know if you get Tiger, you've won.
It's over.
Tiger's done an incredible job to like do the recovery tour and be mostly likable again and be a good public face. What an ultimate heel turn that would be at the end of his career, where just like Tiger Woods signs an $800 million contract with Live Golf, and it's like he's Hollywood Hogan. Using a steel chair.
When you guys heard it was,
I wouldn't rule. I'm sorry, Jessica.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Stugotz.
I was gonna say I wouldn't rule Tiger out doing that when Tiger realizes he can no longer win majors. I would not rule out Tiger Woods actually doing that, Chris. Like that's why Phil's doing it. He's not going to make any money on the PGA Tour at this point of his career. No, I know, but listen, I know, but Chris, you're 55 years old. Your golf career is done. You can't win the majors anymore. And suddenly someone comes to you like Phil Mickelson and says, here's $700 million. Come join our tour. We just want your name.
But Tiger's the guy who's seen what it's like when everybody doesn't like you. And he's back on the good graces now. Like, I just think his team would be like, see this reaction to Phil? Yeah. Like, you got enough money?
Not enough money to hand down to 3 generations. You don't need this.
Right. Yeah, but Woody, at that point, 7 years will have gone by. At that point, Smetty, we keep doing that. At that point, 7 years will have gone by.
There's like a pause every time. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. At that point, oops, everyone stop for a second and keep it all in. At that point, 7 years will have gone by. Okay.
No, but seriously.
No, it's Stugotz.
Yeah.
I'll do it for hour one.
Really? I wanted to talk about the crane.
Too late.